one. 17 seconds is what it usually takes for a thought to stick in your head and for you to develop another thought. And salesmen know this. That's why if you go into a car dealership, motorcycle dealership, furniture store, the salesman starts talking to you, start timing it. They've got their sales pitch down to where it's 17 seconds or 20 seconds to where they place a thought in your head, and that thought in your head is that this product is what you need and you would look good on it, or you would look good buying it, or you should buy it. And they don't stop. They just continue the talk to change whatever is on your mind. If you're just wanting to distract yourself from whatever else is going on in your head and you just want to stop and see something, they want to change that thought into the thought that sells to you. And in my life, I've watched the marketing go crazy to the point to where now when you get gas, the gas station TV comes on and they're updating you with what looks like to be entertainment news, but it's really just selling you stuff or selling you something. Thank you, Marie Menudo's. And I'm not here to try to sell you anything, and that's probably a problem, because I want to I want to be successful on YouTube, just enough to get in the algorithm to make a little side money, just to supplement my income, so I can afford to stay here. I can afford to travel, not in luxury, but in mild luxury, have a nice meal, stay in a nice hotel occasionally, and be able to afford to do it. Traveling is not cheap, and if you go to a destination, the destination depends on the time or the destination. Sometimes that expensive, tickets, souvenirs, whatever. If it's during a big event, the prices are going to be jacked up. For Airbnbs, are going to cost you a month's wages. I know my competition is sponsored, and I know my competition is better at selling products than I am. I am not a salesperson, and that's probably a problem for a guy that wants to be in the content creating business, or start a business to sell stuff anyway, because everything is about selling, and I'm just not into selling. I buy the products that I absolutely need. I'll research something to death before I buy it. I feel bad for car salesmen when I'm in the market for a car, because I know exactly what I want before I go there. I know what I want to pay, but I feel that same pressure when somebody asks me about recommending something. It's not just that Midwestern tightwad. I know people live on a budget. I don't want them to spend too much. I know resale value, is never good. I want a product that lasts a long time. I buy the absolute best gear I can buy that I can afford, that's going to work for me. And I just want you to have fun. I want the viewer to have fun. I don't want to say, hey, you have to go to Daytona, you have to go to Sturgis, you have to go to these big events that where everybody else goes. I want you to travel with your friends, your BFFs, your relatives. Go somewhere where nobody else is going. Last year I went to the Bob Ross Museum in Muncie, Indiana. The most incredible day. I wish I could have spent more time there. It was so incredible. And it's Muncie, Indiana. Who would have thought that'd been a destination location to go to? But it's right there. Everybody goes on their way to Chicago, on their way to Sturgis, on their way to Milwaukee. There's Muncie, Indiana, right there. I highly recommend. Safe parking, plenty of places to stay. It's a fun place, and you won't regret it. It's Bob Ross. I don't even care what you ride. I don't care what brand of gear you have. If you go to Walmart's and you got a Walmart sleeping bag and a Walmart tent and your Walmart pants, and that works for you, if that's what works for you. I remember when I started out, I had a Honda 305. It was 305 Dream that had a Scrambler high pipe with it. My uncles had given to me what I call a box of Honda, and I needed a vehicle for transportation, and I put together this thing, and it had plates in the greasy cardboard boxes I got, and I put plates on. I rode this thing to death. I didn't have winter gear. I had an Army jacket from the Army surplus store. I had my work boots. I had a couple pair of wool socks, which itched the hell out of my feet. I had great big old winter mitts. I had a three-quarter shell helmet that was in the box that didn't quite fit me, but it worked. And one of my uncles gave me a bubble that I put on it. Later, my buddy Kurt put silicone around my bubble so that air didn't come in the winter, which made it fog up even worse. I don't even care what your horoscope is, unless you're a Gemini, and then that's what my mother was, and you know how that rots one's judgment. I just want everybody to live a nice, high-quality life. I want you to have fun at this. That's my goal as to what I share. Sure, I have a really nice bike now. I didn't always have this really nice bike, and I've rode junkers over the times. I had my FXRP, which I love to go pontificate about. How incredible of a bike it was, because I had went through a period of time where I had a job that was starving us out, and I didn't have a good job yet. I was trying to get a better job, and I had my side job, which was covering the day job, which was starving us out, but I needed health insurance. And I would have to sell every motorcycle I'd build. I would build something, I would get a deal on something, I'd get it running, and then have to turn right around and sell it for medical bills, or just bills in general. So I know what it's like to not to be riding junk and riding something that you had to work on all the time. And then when I got the job at Steel Mill, the first thing I did was bought the FXRP, and it had been a Hurricane Katrina survivor, and it was rough. And I took it completely apart to nothing and put it back together, and it still had bugs, like all the controls. They were all had been covered in mud and swamp, and threw it inside of a shipping container and sold at auction. And I drilled a hole in the side of the starter solenoid, and I would carry a number 2 pencil around. I was just telling Pete this story. I'd carry a number 2 pencil around with you, and every time I'd stop and there'd be other bikes there, and they would see me pull that pencil out, pushing that starter button, they would look appalled at me. But that bike never let me down. And I'm telling you, me and that bike hit some adventures. Once following a truckload of scrap on cutting the hill on I-75, and a small I-beam fell out of it, and it went underneath a BMW convertible, ripped all the exhaust out of it, and then I ran over all of the exhaust, the I-beam, the whole 9 yards, and collapsed my front fork tubes. My blew the seals out of them. And luckily, there was a guy there, had a truck, and hauled me to the Harley dealer in Cincinnati, and they're like, "And guy, it's an old FXRP with rust. The fork tubes had been pitted. I'd cleaned them all up, but they didn't want to change the seals, and I understood. I was able to limp it home with no front fork seals, and me and Mike Cook took it apart, put new seals in it, and it worked fine. That bike just kept on taking a beating until I built the house, and I had to sell it to finish the deal, because the salesman, the builder, flaked out on me. That's a whole different story. We're not going to get into it now, but needless to say, I wish I hadn't have. But I sold it to a one-legged guy who just got back from Afghanistan, so I don't feel bad about it. And sometimes I know where he lives, and sometimes I thought about going back and getting it, but I don't go backwards like that. Well, sometimes I don't. But anyway, like I was saying, you want destinations to go to. I don't know. Every time I go to New Jersey, every time I go to Brooklyn, I never fail to stop the Jersey Discount Tool Store in Tottawa, New Jersey. I'm telling you, people that live there, you got to go to the store. It's such an old-fashioned tool store. I love it to death. The Nicks, Nick Jr., Nick Sr., they take such good care of their customers. They're just such you just don't find that in the service industry this much, especially people that they're selling products to people that the blue collar workers who are trying to make their living with it, and they're just trying to give them the best product they can. And they're not sponsored. I don't sponsor. I buy I don't need many tools these days, but every time I need a tool, I email Nick or message Nick, "Hey man, I need this." And like a couple days later, I got it, except for my hoodie that I ordered. I ain't got my new hoodie yet. I need my Jersey Discount Tool hoodie. If you're in New Mexico, stay at the Pecos Inn, and it's a vintage hotel in Santa Fe from like the 50s. Other than that, I don't have any recommendations where you stay. I tend to try, if I can afford it, I tend to stay at like nice hotels that I know that I can keep an eye on my bike, or they let me keep it under the awning. Also, it's nice to stay in a nice hotel and get a good night's sleep without worrying about bed bugs. But like to say, you're in this area, Northern Kentucky, message me. Maybe I'm not working, and I'll get you a place to stay, or maybe Father Bobber or Pete or Ken. One of us, somebody can hook you up. I still have to. You're seeing the outside of the studio. I still need to clean it up. I need to get rid of a cabinet and a table, some chairs and stuff, and so I can make some space in here. Paint the walls. The weather's good now. I was going to paint the walls a couple weeks ago, but the walls were so cold when I touched them. I was like, no, I'm going to wait till it warms up a little bit and then paint them, so that we can have a proper studio and I can have proper guests and we can do this right. I've had the flu for like 2 weeks, and I get better and then I get sick. So I'm sorry for the little bit of gap in time here. I'm going to try to do better and try to do more of these more professional looking studio shots than just motovlogs. I'm going to try to learn how to do voiceover, since the wind noises kind of prevents me from going high speed on the interstate. Also, speaking of high speed on the interstate, I got to buy a new tire. I ran over what looked like a giant spoke off of something. I can't quite tell what the spoke was. Maybe a quarter mile from here, I ran over something and put a giant hole in the back tire. I plugged it, but I don't feel good about it. And patching and plugging the tire, especially as Nick pointed out, the way I ride, I really need a new tire. So, brand new bike, going to get a brand new tire, and getting ready to service it and put some new lights on it, and we'll go from there. Well, I guess that's it. I hope you guys are having a good spring, because I think it's spring now. And Angus should be here in a second. Me and Angus are going to go get some food and some ice cream and some beer, and have an evening.